Hey, what's up, and welcome back to ByStephieNics. Today we're talking chill, bingeable Netflix TV shows. I'm excited. This is kind of my third in the series. I first did chill Hulu TV shows, and then I did Netflix psychological horror and thriller shows. I'll have those linked down below, but I thought it was definitely time to do a Netflix chill TV version, so let's just do it. We're getting started now. Okay, so the first show that I'm gonna recommend is called I'm Sorry. I'm just so sorry. It's a half-hour comedy. It's written and stars Andrea Savage. This woman is so funny. Basically, she plays a comedian, and she's also like a wife and a mom, and it's just about her family life, her work life, her friends, and just random situations that she finds herself in. It really kind of reminds me of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It just takes like normal little everyday situations and just finds like a really funny way to twist it. It's very like a witty, unapologetic humor. I find it hilarious, so give it a shot. You might like it. There are 2 seasons, lots to get through, so give this one a try. Okay, this next one, I love the show. It's called Tiny House Nation, and I was obsessed with this last summer. Could not get enough of this show. It's a very like HGTV type of show. Basically, you have these 2 guys and they go around helping different couples, families, transition their lives into living in a tiny house. Yeah. Like, I personally couldn't do it. I couldn't live in a tiny house, but a lot of people like this idea of kind of downsizing their lives, getting rid of the excess, and also having a tiny house. You can kind of like hook it up to a truck and then travel your house and live wherever you want. It's a very like freeing type of thing. But with that comes the challenge of fitting an entire life into a tiny house. So you get to see like the challenge of designing a home that is still functional, but super tiny and usually transportable. It's addicting to watch. You'll love it. Okay, this next show, Guys, I'm excited about this one. This is one of my absolute favorite TV shows of all time. I talked about it in my chill Hulu TV shows, but now I see that they have a season on Netflix too. So if you don't have Hulu, you get a chance to watch it here too. You're about to be in for an incredible ride. The show I'm talking about is called Married at First Sight. So good. For the quick synopsis of what this show is about, it's basically a social experiment where you have these experts who pair up singles to get married at first sight. They literally meet at the altar. It's wild. So you have the weddings in the first episode, and then you get to watch along like the first few months of their marriage as they like navigate getting to know each other and seeing if they're compatible and want to be married for the rest of their lives. It's the perfect mix of a reality TV show. Emotions are high, drama is high, romance is high. It's so good. So currently on Netflix, they only have 1 season up, but they picked probably the best season ever. It's season 9, and the couples on this season, one is like literally like they're out of their minds. I'm just thinking about all the different storylines on this season. You can't. Like, if you're a reality person, if you like this type of stuff and you haven't watched Married at First Sight yet, there's nothing that should be stopping you. Just go. Just do it. Do it. Okay, back to the comedies for this next pick. It's, again, one of my favorite shows. I have a lot of favorites in this list. It's called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. The show is an hour-long comedy, so it's nice because sometimes, like, the half-hour shows, it's just like, it goes by too quick, and you want something a little bit longer. So that's one perk of it, but besides that, it's created by basically a comedy genius, Rachel Bloom. She's also the star of the show. She is the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and this woman is incredible. The way her mind works. I can't. They have these like musical numbers that the cast just like breaks out into in the middle of the episode, and they're written so well, and they're really good songs too. The whole cast is just so funny, so talented, and the whole crazy ex-girlfriend plot of the show, just this obsessive ex-girlfriend, it's great. There are 4 seasons, lots to watch. Definitely give this one a try. Okay, so this next one I feel like a little weird about putting on the list because admittedly, I've never watched a full episode, which sounds kind of weird, but I'll tell you why it's on the list. Basically, the show that I'm referring to is called Nurse Jackie, and my sister and my mom are currently binge watching it, and I've been in the room a lot, so I've seen many scenes, just never like full episodes. Whatever. I feel like I've seen enough of it. I've got a good enough gist of the show that I feel like I can recommend it to you guys, so that's what I'm doing today. So the show is about a nurse, Nurse Jackie, and she's a very interesting character. She's a very good nurse, but she's not afraid to like break the rules and kind of do things her own way. The character is so funny, and honestly there's like a lot of big comedy names in the cast, so a lot of talent there. Just the whole vibe of the show is really cool. I mean, usually medical shows are hour long, they're drama, they're serious. This is a half-hour dark comedy, so it's like a nice break from the usual. It's good stuff. If any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely give it a try. Next show, switching gears a bit, it's a reality competition show. This is a show that I watched a bunch of years ago, and I just saw that it's on Netflix now, and I completely forgot about this show until I saw it. So it's like Memories, throwback, blast from the past. The show that I'm talking about is called Skin Wars. Basically, it's a body painting competition and they have these really talented body painters all competing in a whole bunch of different challenges. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure RuPaul was one of the judges, which is just awesome. Love RuPaul. There were 3 seasons of that show, so a bunch there, and then they have a spin-off also. The spin-off is also on Netflix. It's called Skin Wars Fresh Paint, and basically that was like people from different professions, not body painters, competing in a body painting competition, like trying this art form for the first time in competition. It's very, very interesting. This was my first like exposure to body painting, and it's very cool. The talent is real, and honestly, I can't say no to a good reality competition series, so bring it on. Enjoy that one. Next show we're gonna chat about is called The Politician. This is a Ryan Murphy created show, and I'm a pretty big Ryan Murphy fan, I'm realizing. I like almost everything that this man has put out. Dude's got talent. Basically, just of the show, it's about this high school senior played by Ben Platt, who I love. And this character, he's like a huge overachiever, dreams of being the president one day. So now that he's in high school, his first step is becoming student body president. So the show is basically like him running his campaign, trying to get the position, all the drama that ensues. It's very like campy, and in that way it reminds me a lot of Scream Queens, that like preppy campy vibe. It's got great costumes, just like Scream Queens, and I mean, it's a fun time. I'm not like obsessed with the show, but I did really like it. And also, they just put up a 2nd season. I didn't even know this was happening, but it went up, so that's pretty cool. Now you got 2 seasons to watch, and I have another one to watch, so I'm gonna go binge that. Speaking of Ryan Murphy, there's another show on Netflix that we can't not address. I'm talking about GLEE. A little bit of a throwback, it's a few years old, but this was a great show. I loved it at the time. There's 6 seasons of the show, so lots and lots to watch, which is always nice. And I feel like probably mostly everyone has already watched the show, but it's the kind of thing that it would be fun to go back and watch it again from the beginning. If you don't know what it's about, I'll give you a little sum up. It centers around this high school glee club, you know, group of misfits finding their place. It's a feel-good story. You're basically watching the group like progress and grow over the years. Really good storylines, great song covers, lots of like good guest stars I'm remembering. Honestly, it was just like a really good show. It's funny because there's actually this one cover from the show that I'm still obsessed with to this day, still on the playlist. Cough Syrup, covered by Darren Criss. That song's incredible. Getting show recommendations, song recommendations, just the whole thing. This is a lot of shows that we're going through. This is like a jam-packed list. Next up, let's go back to some reality TV because I've missed talking about it. It's been a couple minutes. Okay, so this show was like huge a few months ago. Literally, it was all anyone ever talked about, so probably you've already seen it, but if you haven't, it's worth a mention. The show is called Love is Blind. It was a reality TV dating show, and similar to Married at First Sight, it was also kind of like a social experiment, interesting premise that it had going. Basically what they did was they had a whole bunch of singles, guys and girls, meeting and dating while not seeing each other. Kind of like to prove whether love really is blind or not. I love the first few episodes. It was so interesting seeing all these people like meeting and getting to know each other without seeing each other, without that like distraction. And it's honestly kind of hilarious because this show was huge right before quarantine started, and it was almost like foreshadowing what we'd be going through. This like shift to online virtual dating where you're seeing the other person but you're not like there with them. So it's like the mini version of Love is Blind. Just super interesting thoughts. Anyway, after the first few episodes, they switched up the format of the show where now the couples did meet and they continued the rest of the experiment or the season like having a relationship in person. I didn't find this part of the show as interesting because it was more like every other dating reality show, but still good, still worth a watch. Most people were obsessed with the entire thing. I just, you know, I had my little critique on it. And okay, I didn't even want to put this one on the list because this show is over talked about. Like, over talked about. I'll mention it just because it does fit the chill Netflix TV shows to binge watch format that we're talking about. It's Tiger King. If you went through quarantine without giving in and watching this show, honestly, congratulations to you. You good willpower. But basically, I'll sum it up for you. If you don't know what the show is, it's kind of like this reality docuseries about the big cat world, something we didn't know we wanted to know more about. Apparently we did. And it mostly centers around this guy, Joe Exotic, who's a zookeeper, and he's just the craziest character. And you're kind of just like watching his crazy life over a few years and the different people that he works with and feuds with, and it's a wild time. Again, just like Love is Blind, I feel like other people liked it a little more than I did, but I watched it. I enjoyed it enough. I got through it, but I more so watched it because everyone else was and I needed to know what the hype was about. It's definitely watchable, but if you've held out this long without watching it, you're probably not even that interested in watching it. So why is it on this list again? I don't know. Moving on. We're almost at the end of the list. 3 more to go. That was like, would I even hold it there? Next show that we're gonna talk about is such a good one. We're talking about The Bachelor. I was surprised to see, but there's actually 1 season of The Bachelor on Netflix. I didn't even know. So if you don't have Hulu and you've been missing out on like The Bachelor hype all these years, finally you get to watch a season, see what it's all about. And the 1 season that they do have up is honestly one of the greatest seasons. It's from a bunch of years ago, so it's kind of before the show switched where now you feel like all the contestants are just in it for fame. This was back when the show was more in like its purer form. The Bachelor this season was Jason Mesnick. He was so good. The girls on his season were really good, and it has one of the craziest twists of all the Bachelor seasons. Watch this one, guys. It is so good. And this is a season that I feel like even if you're a Bachelor fan, it could be totally fun to go back and rewatch that. Or if like you started later on, like more recently, and you never saw this one, definitely like you gotta see the full Mesnick happen. So good. Okay, this next show I feel like kind of obligated to include. It's like a classic comedy that's on Netflix. I couldn't not put it in the list. I'm talking about Parks and Rec. Parks and Recreation, to be formal. This is a great show. It was on for a bunch of years. There's 7 seasons, half-hour comedy. Stars Amy Poehler and just like a ton of other comedy greats. I mean, you've got Aziz Ansari, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Pratt, like all at the beginning of their careers before they shot off and became big. It's very cool. And then Nick Offerman's Ron Swanson, greatest TV character ever. And then if you're a fan of The Office, I feel like you'd really like this too if you haven't seen it yet. It's just like very similar like with the ensemble vibes and even the way that it's shot. It's also that like mockumentary style. It's a good show, a classic, perfect to binge watch. And finally, last show on the list, we are talking about Billy on the Street. This one is different than actually all the other shows that I mentioned already because it's kind of like a game show sort of deal. It's weird to say it's hosted by, but it's like hosted by Billy Eichner. One of my favorite people. He is just hilarious. I actually discovered him when he was on Parks and Rec, so I thought it was like funny to have these two next to each other. I'm so funny. His comedy style is just so funny to me. He gets very angry at people and gets like shouty at them. I don't really know how else to describe it. Watch it for like 5 minutes and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically what he does is each episode he has a different celebrity guest like host with him, and they roam the streets of New York asking random people walking by different questions for like $1 or just to be funny. This is just like such a feel-good show. There are 4 seasons up on Netflix. You can turn to the show whenever you want, rewatch episodes. It's that kind of thing. I love this show. Literally just love Billy Eichner so much. And I think that's it. That was 14 chill Netflix TV shows ready for you to binge watch. That was a lot. I had a lot of fun going through this list and telling you guys about a whole bunch of my favorite TV shows. I hope you enjoyed too. If you did, definitely scroll down and leave a big like on this video. And while you're down there, definitely comment and let me know which show you're super excited to start binge watching now, or let me know which show I left off the list that you're like, come on, why didn't you talk about that one? Maybe I missed a really good one and then I will know to watch it. Give me the recommendations. Definitely don't forget to join the ByStephieNics fam by subscribing and ringing the little notification bell down below. Hope you're all doing well, enjoying the start to summer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it as always. And as always, this is ByStephieNics. Bye. On the go and just travel. Okay.